Hi everyone, welcome back to another edition of Tobin Talks. Today we are going to talk about seller's docs. My assistant Michelle has been asking me for months to do a Tobin Talks on seller's docs so she wouldn't have to explain them to clients or sellers who she speaks to on the phone. So here you go, Michelle, you can just attach this Tobin Talks to the next person who asks. When you do a closing, a lot of the focus is on the buyer side. It's the buyer's obligation to make sure the property's right. It's the buyer's obligation to make sure they get their financing. It's the buyer's obligation to make sure there's good title. Well, what is the seller's obligation? When it comes to closing documents, oftentimes we're asked when we represent a buyer and we're doing the closing if we can prepare seller's docs. Now, that question almost presupposes that a seller doesn't need an attorney for closing. And that's a perception that's out in the market often. And that's because, in truth, the seller has fewer concerns at closing than the buyer does. But contractually, the seller has a lot of obligations. What are seller's docs? It's basically a deed, a transfer of title. In Spanish, for a lot of my Latin clients, it's titular, one of the very few Spanish words I really know. So we do a warranty deed to transfer title. We do a bill of sale to transfer personal property. Oftentimes the parties will agree to buy furniture or artwork or other things in the property for additional consideration. We transfer title to real property by a warranty deed. We transfer title to personal property by bill of sale. Now, seller also has to give a number of affidavits. One affidavit is a no lien affidavit. That's an affidavit that the seller hasn't done anything to the property over the last 90 days for which someone could claim money owed and create a lien on the property, namely a contractor who improves the seller's property. Another affidavit that the seller has to give is that they are either a U.S. citizen or a U.S. resident, or that the entity they're selling under is a U.S. company. If not, the seller is subject to FIRPTA, so we do a non-FIRPTA affidavit. Finally, the seller gives the title agent or buyer's attorney disbursement instructions, written banking instructions on where the money for the closing should be deposited. We have wire and email fraud, unfortunately, that's really hounding our industry, so this document's got to be in writing, and then we phone verify it at closing. So those are the core documents that a seller gives to a buyer at every closing. There may be other documents necessary to clear title, but those are the core seller's docs. So Michelle, there's your Tobin Talks on seller's documents. And for the rest of you, if you have any questions, feel free to check out our website, call our office. We're always happy to hear from you. Till then, thanks for joining in. Bye-bye.